Gee, Steve, what are we going to do tonight?
Same thing we do every podcast. Tell him how he sees it.
We need to come up with a plan.
Here's what we're gonna do.
Oh, you're the boss now. Cute.
Well, yeah, it's our only chance of getting out of here, so.
Okay, I think I might just surrender, probably.
Okay, fine. Every man for himself.
Why should you be in charge? You almost killed all of us right there.
Well, let's see. I've been in the trenches of every war-torn country on this planet, rescued God knows how many hostages, and shook the hands of 2 U.S. presidents. What else? High school state football champs. Back to back to back. Go Bears.
Oh, wow. When I was 5, I was in a Pee Wee soccer team called the West Chesapeake Valley Thunderbolts, sponsored by Shane's Tire Shop. We won 0 games, and one time this girl, Mindy, she did a poo at midfield. Anyone else have any pointless childhood stories to tell?
Here we go. It's How We Sees It, episode 286. We're coming at you this week with a new release, The Thunderbolts. Asterisk. This is the latest MCU movie. Came out in the theaters on May 2nd, about 2.5 weeks ago, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, roughly.
Roughly. Days have been falling into themselves, weeks, and I'm just I can't wait for this month to be over. Let's just say that. But one of the highlights of this month was getting to watch Thunderbolts in the theater. MCU is back, and
You're just sharing that with you're proclaiming that out.
I'm claiming they're back.
Yeah.
The movies are in the theater. They came back. No, I mean, this was enjoyable. This wasn't a stinker. Let's put it that way. Like, I think unanimously across the board, the people I've been listening to have thought this was not the greatest, but high, mid-tier, low, first tier type MCU movie.
Yeah, I mean, I would put it there. I enjoyed it very much.
Yeah, I think it was really good. I am interested to see what comes after this. We've got Fantastic Four coming up after this, so we'll see if they continue it and it goes, or will the Fantastic Four curse hit the MCU also? Because they have not been able to do a Fantastic Four movie that doesn't suck shit.
I honestly, how incompetent! I mean, it's such a great comic. It's like I cannot believe they haven't been able to do.
I think it's because they keep trying to do the origin. I think you got to get away from the origin with them and get into
It kind of looks like that's what they're doing. Like maybe like the origin will be during the opening credits, and then I'm just speculating.
My speculation is that it doesn't start with the origin. They start just midday, something's going on, and then through some like flashbacks or some like mid story of something, they'll tell a quick flashback to how the origin happened, and then that way we're not dealing with that being the whole movie. So that's just my thought.
Are you all well versed on it?
For Spider-Man.
Are you guys well versed on Fantastic Four comics?
I read a lot in the 80s.
Okay.
I'm not, yeah.
Because this movie gave me questions, because they tease it at the end, and it's like, wait a second, I saw the trailer for Fantastic Four, and it looks more like it's the Jetsons from, some retro world. I don't know what it was, but but then here we have them coming back from at the very end of
I don't know what's going on, but yeah, I
mean,
believe that.
We'll probably talk about it when we see it, but I think it's more multiverse shenanigans.
Yep. Okay. Nice.
Shenanigans is a good word.
I'm not getting the multiverse vibe. I'm not.
Really?
I'm not. Yeah.
You missed that part completely from the. Did you watch the
stinger
credit scene?
Yeah, but that doesn't scream multiverse to me. That screams like like something like Inception or something.
No, here's exactly what it is. It is multiverse. We're gonna get Fantastic Four in their world. Some shit's gonna happen. That's them coming into the MCU current world. That's your multiverse. Just throwing it out there. I could be wrong. It's happened once before. I think it was a Tuesday, but that's not today. So, but that's not what we're here to talk about. We did already talk a lot about it, but we're here to talk about the Thunderbolts. And it's got a lot to talk about. But for us to get into talking about this, one of the things we got to talk about is our cocktails, because that's what we do here on How We See It. We make a cocktail that we pair with whatever it is we're watching. That's no different this one. And I know you guys brought some magic.
Can I go first? Just because it's been a while.
Steve.
It's been a while, and I don't think my cocktail is impressive enough to bring in at the end. So I just I'll let you give up your throne of always bringing the thunder. Thank you.
To go first. All right, go ahead.
All right. My cocktail I called the group hug, because that's the big finale here. That's how they overcome Void in the end, with this big group hug that makes everyone smile and feel warm inside. And so I assembled all. I went through my cabinet and basically pulled out a lot of liquor that was like stuck in the corners and stuff like that. Kind of brushed it off, dusted off. I figured the misfit liqueurs and stuff like that. Anyway, so here I actually had a little readout for what these were. Okay, I started with some rye whiskey, and that represents Winter Soldier. He's like sharp, got some seasoned grit. Then I also had some overproof bourbon. This is, again, something I've used in the past. That's for U.S. Agent, because he's got that brute force patriotism, and I thought that fit well with an overproof bourbon. Then I had some Mizan XO Jamaican rum. That's for Ghost, kind of elegant, complex, fades like a whisper, And then I had some Faccia Bruto Amaro Gorini. That's Red Guardian. Bitter, endearing, and it means ugly ass face, which he kind of leans into that idea too. So, and then for Yelena, I found an apricot eau de vie, which is apricot brandy. She's sharp, intense, has kind of a rye twist. I added some lemon juice, and then I kind of brought it all together with this nice warm honey syrup that kind of leaned into that group hug. I also included a little mezcal rinse at the beginning, just to rinse, because that's all the time Taskmaster gets. Just enough to just kind of make it a little smoky, and then she's out of there. Okay, and then I garnished it. What I did is I took 5 different citrus peels and wove them together in kind of a rope and wrapped it around, and that became kind of that bond that brought them all together. So 1/2 ounce of each of the liqueurs, 3/4 ounce of the lemon juice, 3/4 ounce of the honey syrup, and again the rinse. And it's called the group hug. So there you go.
You are a liar, Steve.
What?
You brought the thunder. You go pinky out, bring the thunder. Great story. Oh my God!
Sorry, I'm not. Well, okay, it's delicious.
I figured you just wanted to drink it. That's why you wanted to go first.
Well, we're starting a little late, so I actually already drank it. I made a second one, and unfortunately, on my first drink, I ran out of the rye because I had just enough rye for that first drink. So this one, I added a little bit of Irish whiskey instead, and it doesn't do quite. It's not quite as right. I really like. I mean. Check out my recipe; it's really nicely balanced. So I got
that was brilliant, Steve. Don't ever tell me you're not going to bring the thunder, because you lie. All right, Nina, what do you got for us?
Okay, so I still wanted to use the slushy maker, and as all of you know, and because I've said it over and over, I dig Bucky so much, and I love. The thing I love about him is, for whatever reason, Hydra torture or just it's his personality. When everybody else is super enthusiastic, he's always like, I am done. I am just ready to be over this. Yeah. And this movie's no exception. So you have, he has all of these people, and a lot of them are young. Except for Alexei, they're all a lot younger than he. Well, they're all a lot younger than he is, but I mean,
yeah, it's even Lexi, really.
Yeah. But they're
true.
They're more kids to him than usual.
Right.
They're all kind of super enthusiastic, and he's just like, look, we just got to get through this and, take care of this, and then we're done. And so I call this drink the winter babysitter, because that's how I think he sees himself. And
that's a great name for it.
Thank you. So it's a strawberry slushy, and I put in some 99 bananas, a shot of that, and a shot of vanilla vodka, and it kind of tastes like a smoothie. So it's like, he could put it in a Slurpee cup and no one would ever know. And just like all the great babysitters.
Right, exactly. I figured the 99 bananas was for the people he's babysitting because they're all a bunch of crazy
that could work, sure.
Bananas.
They're all little bananas, yep.
Nice. Good one. I like it. All right, Bo, give us what you got.
All right, so I did my cocktail. It was, these are kind of like the Avengers Light. Like they're like, not quite, they just don't have the original 5 Avengers sort of,
kind of like dollar store Avengers.
Yeah, or something like that. So what I did was I took a sort of lesser version of what I consider, at least now, a classic cocktail. So when we were in Brazil, there's this cocktail called a caipirinha, and it's very, very popular. And it's made with this liqueur that's made from sugarcane, similar to rum, and only that it's made from sugarcane. But it's called cachaça. It's a little sweeter than some rums, and it's actually just a pretty good liqueur. So basically, this is that same cocktail. It's called a caipirosca, and it's a caipirinha, which instead of this cachaça, it uses vodka. So I went out, and since there's 2 Russians on the team, I went with the I like the red Defender. I think I'm getting that wrong. The Red Guardian,
Red Guardian. Yeah.
Red Guardian. That's right. I was saying the Red Defender all day, and I'm like, that's not right. So the Red Guardian. Anyway, so I'm the red. It's the Red Guardian's one of my favorites from this. He's just got a kind of a good way about him. He's pretty funny. The way he's like cleaning up his house real quick when she gets over there, when Florence Pugh comes over. Anyway, so it starts out. It's 1.5 limes. You muddle them in a cocktail shaker. Add 3 teaspoons. I added 3. I think I wrote 2 on the recipe because that's what it called for, but it wasn't sweet enough. So 3 teaspoons of sugar, 1.5 ounces of vodka. Put in some ice, shake it, and just pour it into a glass. And it's pretty tasty. It gets the thumbs up from Kelly, so I'll have another sip here. She said it might be it's better than most of the cocktails I make, is what she said.
That's a high bar.
Right, it's not a very high bar. I went with a beer. It's called Delirium Nocturnum, and it's the darker side of delirium. So, the darkness of when Bob was, everything was turning black. He was that was the dark side. But he was also a little bit delirious at the time as well. So the delirium kind of plays into it as well. So
nice.
So that's my
good
beer.
choice. Good deal. All right, no, that's good. Professionals mute themselves when they do that, but we'll let you slide.
At least you coughed into your elbow.
I haven't gotten my check yet, so I'm certainly not a professional.
All right. So one of the things about this
Noah,
movie that just
come on, you didn't mute.
I didn't say I was professional though, either.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, you haven't gotten your check either, I'm assuming.
Everybody knows I'm unprofessional in all cases, all the time. No, one of the things that really made me laugh, and there was a lot in this movie that made me laugh. I really enjoyed it. It had a great comedy level to it. But the name Thunderbolts and where it came from, everybody came into this thinking, oh, Thunderbolt Ross, because we just had him in a movie, that's where the comic book version comes from. So everybody's like, oh, it's going to tie back to it. But what it really ties back to is the West Chesapeake Bay Thunderbolts Pee Wee soccer team that Yelena played for when she was 5. And they bring it up more than once. And I was laughing my ass off with that. It just made me, the whole little stories, we had a little girl that went poo in midfield and all this, just the little things with it. I was trying to think, how do I make a middle field poo drink? And I was like, no, that's probably not good. But what I started to think about was
probably not good.
Was just soccer for me. I started playing soccer when I was 5, and I played almost all the way until I graduated high school. All 3 of my daughters played when they were young, and some of them played all the way until they were out of high school at a high level. But one of the things I remember, the difference in Pee Wee soccer and little kids soccer was snack time. The halftimes, like those kids didn't show up to play soccer; they showed up for that halftime snack, right?
Right.
And the one that came and just rings high and true in my brain is Sunny D, right? The little bottles of Sunny D orange drink. It's not even orange juice. You can't call it orange juice. It's got to be an orange drink. But I was just like, I gotta go.
That only refers to the color. It doesn't refer to anything even about the flavor.
It's tangy. It tastes like orange color. But I wanted to go with something with a Sunny D as my base, and then I had to go. The main alcohol in this has got to be a Russian vodka, right? We get the scene with Yelena where she's talking about she just goes home and drinks herself to slumber, and and that's part of her nightmare scene too. And if I wasn't mistaken, I believe she was drinking Stoli vodka, so that's what I went with. I got a Stoli vodka, which is a Russian vodka. So I start off with 2 ounces of the Stoli Russian vodka, and then halftime Pee Wee stuff, what kids eat a lot, watermelon, right? There's always a parent that brings a cut up watermelon. So I went with 1.5 ounces of the watermelon pucker to give it some extra flavor. Poured in 3 ounces of Sunny D orange drink. And then what's the other thing that we always have at kids Pee Wee soccer is apple slices. So I went with Martinelli's apple cider to give it that little bit of a bubble, a little bit of a mix into it. Also, every little Pee Wee team wants to be champions, right? They want to celebrate. They want to pop that bubbly. And what is kids bubbly? It's Martinelli's apple cider, right? Who wasn't a kid around the holidays and all the parents are drinking wine and they give you the apple cider so you can feel like you're a big grown up, right? So it's the kids, champagne really is what it is. So had to go with that too. So that's my base drink. I did a garnish with a slice of apple, and I had a couple slices of apple around the bottom of the drink, just to show that this is what a West Chesapeake Bay Thunderbolts Pee Wee soccer team halftime would look like, because it's I'm coached by the Red Guardian. Of course, he's going to have vodka in there, So
pulls it out of his back pocket and slips it in the middle at halftime. Yeah.
So that's my drink, the halftime snack.
That's awesome, and that's such a great kind of left field pull. Not straightforward. Well done.
Right.
I was on
also
that one all week.
Go ahead. No, sorry.
I was on that one all week. I'm like, I got to figure out Sunny D. I got to get this in there. What can I do? What can I do? What can I do? And I had it all pretty much figured out for the last 3 days. And the last thing I did was today. I was like, I need one more thing in it, and that's where the watermelon pucker. And I have to say, it's actually really good.
Nice. I also use Stoli. I don't think it's still the case, but Stoli for the longest time was the only Russian vodka sold in the U.S. Now,
Smirnoff is also Russian, and that's been around quite a while too. So, but maybe
Smirnoff is American.
Yeah, I just pulled this up. Top Russian vodkas, and Smirnoff is one of the top ones listed.
Maybe that means Russian spelled vodkas.
Yes.
I mean, I'm guessing. I don't know. It certainly sounds Russian.
Well, yeah, no, really. I googled it up, and it says Russian vodka brands.
Because wasn't Yakov Smirnoff Russian?
Smirnoff?
Yeah.
Well, here's what I'm reading on Wikipedia. Smirnoff is owned by the British company Diageo and is manufactured in Illinois. Smirnoff was mistakenly targeted for boycotts during the Russian invasion of Ukraine. However, despite its Russian origin, the brand is owned by a British company, Diageo, and the U.S. market is manufactured in Illinois.
Boom! There you go.
But country of origin, Russia.
Well, vodka, the country of origin.
No, I know.
Is Russia.
No, I was funny because I actually I looked at the Smirnoff because I was going to get an apple flavored one, and then I picked up the bottle, and it actually said bottled in New York, and I was like, no, I don't want that one. Then I knew Stoli. Stoli, but they didn't have any of the fruit ones, so I was like, "Oh, I'll grab that." And I picked it up and I started looking at it, and it also said bottled in New York. And I was like, "Oh, you fuckers!" But I knew Stoli was also a Russian vodka, so I was like, "Oh, okay."
Oh yeah,
That's
but I
imported
also
by the Stoli Group, proudly bottled in Latvia's Balzam,
what's that?
Latvia, which I guess is in Russia.
Okay, I was going to say maybe it's easier to.
Latvia is its own country.
But didn't it used to be part of Russia?
I mean, yeah, but
okay,
that
was
a while
good enough for us.
But maybe it's easier to import in big vats over, on the boats rather than bottle them and have them.
It probably is
the potential of them all shattering. So you import it and then you bottle it in a local, location.
Right. I also, if I caught it right, the bottles that Yelena was drinking in her nightmare scene was also Stoli. So that was the reason I kind of went with that. I was looking them up. There's one called Hammer and Sickle that actually has the little hammer and sickle on the bottle, and I really wanted to get that one just because I was like, I really wanted to go all in on it, but I couldn't find it anywhere like west of the Mississippi. So I was like, fuck, that ain't happening.
Gotcha.
So this movie, though, like I said earlier, had a comedy level to it that was hasn't been around for a while. This is almost kind of hits in that Guardians of the Galaxy style lane in a way where you've got the misfits kind of playing off each other. There's this tension between, but they also joke and kind of have this care for each other. So to me, this was also kind of like Guardians light. It was similar.
Guardians was leaned into the humor a little more. I put this more on par with the original Avengers, where you suddenly got these characters together. I felt more drama. I mean, I certainly read Guardian brought a lot of humor, but mostly I thought this was, I enjoyed this mainly because of how it involved the different characters and kind of put them together in a way that, yes, it was funny, but I preferred the dramatic way they interacted. Or at least the ones that were kind of headlined. I think there were a couple that were sidelined, Ghost especially.
Yeah, Ghost did not get a lot of play. Yeah. But yeah, no, I agree with you. This is a little more serious, and yeah, it does have a little bit of the feel of the Avengers, and maybe that's why we get the new Avengers. Little different. They bring it up too as like all of us, all we do is punch and shoot, which I thought was really funny. It's like, we don't have anybody that does anything else. Essentially they have 3 super soldiers. Like if you think about, they have all 3 versions, which I loved the conversation that Winter Soldier and Red Guardian, when they're, I guess it's Bucky and what are they? Why can't I think of his name? Alexi. I'm like, Alexi. Yeah, he's like, well, what kind did you get? And he goes, I don't know, Hydra. And he's like, oh, I just got plain old Russian. It's just
doesn't he go like, ooh, Hydra, fancy?
Yeah, exactly. Pinky out, super soldier.
And who's the third? Is that U.S. agent or your
U.S. agent?
Your future son-in-law? Look like the spitting image of Seth.
Seth lifted a lot of weights. He could look a lot like Wyatt Russell playing John Walker as Temu Captain America.
For Bo and Nina, Seth he joins us on our beer podcast. He's Sierra's
fiance now.
Yep, coming soon.
Nice.
Future son-in-law for Noah.
Yeah. Which I don't know if I've talked to you guys about it. Sierra gave me one of the best Christmas presents I ever got this last Christmas, and it was a T-shirt that said, "My favorite child is my," and it crossed out daughter and said son-in-law. And so she gave me that, and I love it. It's one of my favorite presents from this last Christmas. It's just so perfect.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. This did hit it. It does have a little bit of the coming together of the first Avengers, especially with the I'm here for that person person's there for this person, that person, there's a name for that and I can't think of it, but where they're all basically there to take each other out.
It's like Rochambeau.
It's set up by Valentina Allegra de Fontaine,
right?
Julia Louis-Dreyfus,
Elaine. Yep.
Elaine, yeah. That's what they needed in this. They needed her to dance. Just one little scene at the the big government her fundraiser. She needed to get out on the dance floor and just do a little lane boogie. Would have been great. No, she does great in this, but yeah, that it starts off. I mean, really, even before that, we start this off kind of like we did with Avengers. One of my favorite scenes from the original Avengers movie too is our introduction to Black Widow in that, where she's kind of being interrogated, and the guy's like got her chained to the chair, and he's the phone call comes in, and she's about to tell me everything, and
the original Avengers.
The
You're back to the original.
The original Avengers.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, we start off this one with Yelena, played by Florence Pugh, who's just killing it. I mean, she's one of the hottest actresses out there right now. Just everything she does is just golden lately. But the monologue,
What's up, buddy?
you think we're getting this her just telling us the story that's going on, and then they cut back to her telling the guy that she's got tied up. It's hilarious, and it fits that Black Widow character. Like, it was such a sad part of the Infinity Saga end, where we lost the Black Widow, and she's now taking that spot, and I think taking that crown, shining it up, and making it brighter, even in a way. Like she's got a bigger spot. Like, she is the lead of this 100%, where we never had that in the others.
Yeah, in fact, being the lead of this movie, it's almost. Someone brought this up, and I didn't even think about it. But this is, I know it's a group, it's a team, but yeah, just like you brought up, she leads the team in a sense as far as screen time. She carries the movie. This is so you could say this is a female-led MCU movie, but you don't think of it that way. I don't know. I think Florence Pugh is kind of has this a way about her that you don't walk out of it saying, oh, it's feminism, it's all this sort of things that sometimes we get frustrated with some movies that lean into that a little too much. This one was just like, hey, this was a legitimate movie, and I didn't even think about who was leading it. They didn't play that card at all. It was just a good ensemble, and she kind of took the reins and led it into the next scene.
Yeah, which is interesting, because if you would have laid out the characters, right? If someone would just put these characters down in front of you, Yelena Belova, Bucky Barnes, John Walker, Alexei, I don't want to screw that up. Whatever Russian last name, Ava Starr is Ghost. You throw those guys down.
Who
do you? Yeah, that's good. The Red Guardian, but who do you think, just in those in the past MCU, who's going to be the star? Who's going to lead that? I would bet 99% of the people are going to say Bucky Barnes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean,
because
for sure,
he's been huge in everything else, and everybody. He's kind of like he's like the dark horse that everybody loves. He's a fan favorite for sure. But when you get into this movie, he kind of plays backseat to her. He's a great supporting character. Like, he's not a backseat, like, oh, he doesn't matter. He actually lifts her up in a way. It makes it great. Same with John Walker. His character was hated coming out of Falcon and Winter Soldier, right? He was just like, what the fuck is this guy?
I have to be honest. I mean, it was the whole thing with John Walker. I did hate him coming out of Falcon and Winter Soldier. I just, I'm like, this guy is terrible. I don't want to see him. I don't want him to be a good guy. And I have to hand it to Wyatt Russell. He's just so an
asshole.
He plays him so well. He plays him, yes, as an asshole, and he's not afraid to be like, made a fool of.
He's the butt of every joke in this movie.
I mean, he carries around a taco-shaped shield for most of the movie, for crying out loud, and he just, he didn't mind playing a fool and a and a jerk, and I respected that.
That was probably necessary
tried
as
to
kind of
come
like
across-
his penance, for the audience to be able to buy him as, okay, he's going to move forward as an Avenger. We gotta have our moment where we get to lay into him. I'm just guessing maybe that's why they chose to play him, because he didn't really evolve in this movie. It was just he was the butt of all jokes in this movie.
I thought I would disagree.
No.
I would
Yeah.
disagree that he did. I mean, he comes in at the beginning of the movie. In my opinion, he's trying to portray himself like he's like got a good family man, everything's good. I should be Captain America. Like, I'm as good as Captain America. I've got my shit together, blah, blah, blah. Yet, come to find out, I don't know, about a third or halfway through, I didn't check my watch, but, partway through the movie, you come to find out his whole fucking life is falling apart. His kid, his wife, or I don't even know if his wife, girlfriend, partner, left with the kid.
His wife.
Yeah, partner left with the kid. He doesn't have anything going for him. Nobody likes him. Everybody thinks he's like not, everybody like has forgotten about him. They're making fun of him. The whole group is, and he kind of at the end, I think, owns up to it a little bit. He owns up to the fact that shit's going wrong, and I think he also steps up for the rest of the team when he kind of comes back at the very end. And why they flipped that big piece of concrete over and not just let it down to the ground where they were standing, like they didn't know what was on the other side. They could have flipped that over. The little girl could have been standing there, and they would have killed her.
Maybe Ghost kind of phased in and out, and we didn't
phased through it to see what was there.
We just didn't see it, because she's...
they could have just let it fall in front of them, gotten out of the way.
So many people
that would have been the safe thing to do.
Yeah. Oh, that would have been great too, because it could have added into the comedy where they're all backing out, like, okay, watch your fingers as we let some kind of like joke.
You know what would have been? Yeah. Would have been great to have Deadpool on the other side.
Oh, jeez.
like throw it over and they smash Deadpool, and he's like, then they lift him up and he's flat Stanley, and they pull him out and they have some I don't know. It would have been too much.
Or if they just cut one of the characters that kind of went, oh, was anyone over there? I hope not. Or just where they kind of acknowledge that they just made a stupid
Has
mistake.
anybody seen? Yeah. Who's
anybody seen?
Where's Elena? Because she's not super strong. Having her under there, she's got normal strength. Having her under there is what is she doing? That'd be being under there.
No, that you know what that was though? Bo, you might understand this because you don't have kids, but when you're home working hard on something and you're lifting up something, and one of your kids comes up, and I got this with my granddaughter.
Well, I had a father. I did have a father.
Okay. So you might have been
stuff when I was a kid.
Yeah, but we're moving heavy shit, me and Alyssa, and my granddaughter's jumping in there I want to help, and she'll literally put one hand on it like she's doing something.
To touch it, yeah.
And that's what it is. It's I know I'm in her mind she's doing something, and but it's also being part we're all going to do this together, or no one's going to do it by themselves.
We're not going to do it at all. It's all for one or one for none or whatever.
And so that's, Ghost doesn't have any, what is she going to do her
also normal strength.
Yeah. The only thing she can do is if it does fail and it falls, she's the only one getting out of it, because she just phased at that point and go, oh, fuck, my bad. So it is what it, the one thing I have to say though.
Anyway, go ahead.
I was going to say, I get really stickler with certain things and powers and stuff like this. This is one of the first times I ever was like, oh, they're going to fuck this up. And then they didn't, and they actually impressed me. There's the scene where the Winter Soldier, not Bucky Barnes, actually reappears, and it's in a car chase where our heroes are running in Alexi's limo. Funny.
Yeah.
All right.
And so Bucky starts blowing up these cars chasing him, and he grabs a chain or a cable.
Yep.
He grabs it and he punches down into the ground and actually is able to grab the ground, and then it flips over. Because I was like, if he just stands, his legs are not fucking metal.
Right.
His legs, that would have ripped his goddamn dishwasher safe arm right off his fucking body.
I thought the same thing. It was the fact that he pinned it to the ground with so much force.
Well,
that's what created. Yeah.
I thought the same thing. They did that one right, but they screwed it up later.
Okay.
So they screwed it up when they had the rebar wrapped around him. his one arm is super strong. His other arm is normal strength. You couldn't hold a piece of rebar and bend a piece of rebar with a normal arm and a strong arm.
Yeah, you can't. Captain America did it without. Captain America did it with just his regular flimsy, Captain America arms, because he's a super soldier also.
Yeah, that's the
but
thing.
He's not super strong to bend rebar.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He's the same level as Captain America.
I could practically bend. Rebar is not
that big a rebar. Those were number 8 bars. Those were not number 3 bars.
I didn't know what number they were. I knew they were thicker, but I mean,
rebar every number is an eighth of an inch.
Hey,
so a number 8 bar is about an inch across.
Since we're getting picky, why the hell was there a timer on the wall when there was a 2-minute countdown that everything's going to blow?
Agree.
And the power source happened to be right in the center there rather than outside on the other side of the wall. Why did they put the power source to...
Because Valentina hired
somebody from
Austin
James Bond
Powers.
wrote it, maybe from somebody from James Bond wrote that scene.
Yeah.
Maybe it was like a fail-safe for people who... Like if it got set off, people who worked there would have a way to shut it off in time.
Yeah,
so it didn't just go instantly.
It deserves its own Death Star movie. What is it? The Rogue One.
Rogue One.
Right. Why they put the whole shaft?
That might be a valid point, Nina. If Julia Louis-Dreyfus didn't care so little about everything except herself.
Here's the thing: is she doesn't do any of it herself. She hires people to do this and then kills them after they're done. So she hired a low-level engineer who just didn't think of that, and then she killed him. So she didn't know about it. Maybe. What I like though, this goes back to John Walker. We get the Captain America tie-in. He gets a on your left.
And
I was like, oh, he did it, and I was like, oh, that's so good. I mean, there's so many little things in this that the writers and director and the people involved just knew what they were doing. They've watched the movies. They know the stories. It's not coming in with just some random bullshit and giving us a weird story. They made this an MC. This is one of the first that we've had in a while that really felt like the original first 3 phase MCUs in a way.
Yeah, when I was talking to Kelly about this after, I asked her what she thought, and I can read you what she said because she also said the same thing to a friend at work. She said to a friend at work, one of her friends at work is a little bit of an MCU fan. Actually, 2 of her friends at work are kind of MCU fans, but here's what she wrote. Friend goes, how's the movie? She goes, meant to give you a review. I thought Florence Pugh character was good. I appreciated some of the humor and some of the more touching moments, as well as the Bob character. So I was able to relax and somewhat, in air quotes, enjoy at the same time. Since I don't have great knowledge of the background and I'm not vested in the future, my takeaway was that there was very little plot, and the main purpose of the movie was to launch a new phase of the Avengers. My husband came away excited about that. Me, meh. So that's what I mean. She sat through it. She wasn't like jonesing for her phone, and she wasn't like
right.
Like she really she was there, and it was a movie, and it wasn't
She didn't come out going, you wasted 2 hours of my life.
Right, and she didn't come out saying, I can't believe I missed all of this. At the same time, she was somewhere middle of the road, really liked it.
So now here's the big question I got from all that you just told us. Is her friends that are MCU fans, have they listened to the podcast?
They know about it. Have they listened to it? I don't know. They know about it. That's how it kind of come up. Yeah. So
okay.
I don't know if they've listened to it or know about it. I don't know exactly what the deal is. So anyway, but yeah,
pretty good.
But she as a non-MCU person, she enjoyed it, and what she said, and then after I asked her what she thought about it, she basically said all that. And then she asked me what I thought about it. I've never had anybody ask me, except you guys, what I thought about the movies. And and she nailed it. I was like, I'm very excited for this. I don't know if it's really the start of a new phase, but it feels like the start of a new phase, and it feels like like I said before, the original Avengers light.
Yeah.
They're obviously not, there's no God, there's no Tony Stark, there's no, there's no Hulk. Although there's kind of a Hulk, actually.
There's Bob.
Bob's kind of a Hulk. Bob's kind of a Hulk. He's like, I
Bob
can't.
is way more than a Hulk. But
Well, he's way more than a Hulk, but he's a Hulk in the way that he's like, when he's sitting there at the end, sipping on a Shake Shack drink or whatever he was sipping on.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
He's like sitting there, he's like, I can't turn into the guy because I lose control, and I don't want to lose control.
Is the name of
right.
the
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He's basically a Superman of the Marvel.
Right. He's like, I can't turn into Sentry because if I turn into Sentry, then I'm going to be a bad person. So I don't want to do that. So that's the Hulk. That's the Hulk parallel.
I get what you're saying. It's also, I mean, you could also say it's the Thor parallel because he's a god. He even has a line about that. He goes, "You just said I'm better than all the Avengers, and they had a god. So would that make me better than a god?"
Yeah.
I don't know Sentry from shit. I don't know if I've ever read a comic with him in it. I know what he looks like from different games and things that I've played and that had Sentry.
Wait, what games?
I play a Marvel Puzzle Quest. It's kind of like a Candy Crush for Marvel fans.
Gotcha.
Whatever the match 3 games are.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what I know of him. He was. The idea was it's like this. He shows up and it's this Bob guy, and he's a drug addict. He's
former drug addict.
No. In the comic, it's like he's.
Oh, in the comic, he's a drug addict.
I'm trying to remember if he was. I can't remember if he was an active addict or if he was in recovery. Anyway, was at a very low point, and he's having these dreams about being Sentry. Oh. And what he finds out is he was Sentry, who was a superhero, like Superman, and save the world and all this stuff, but he had kind of like a
Peter
mind Parker
wipe, right? Oh yeah, like
Peter Parker in No Way Home. He had his entire history, his entire existence erased from not only everybody in the world's memory but his own.
Yeah, I did hear about that. That when they brought him in, they actually went out and got comic book writers to write age or period accurate comics from like the 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s that included Sentry in them, in period accurate costumes, storylines, and stuff with all these other heroes that were out at the time as like one-offs and things like this, so that like and they sold them and they had like fake names for the writers and all this stuff, and I was like, that's fucking genius of Marvel to do that, the Marvel Comics, and I was like, that's really cool. But it goes along with that, like he had everything wiped away.
But I think they decided, I can see why they decided not to do that, because they're doing
that's a lot.
Spider-Man. They're doing Spider-Man, which is essentially going to be the same idea.
Yeah. Wait, say that again?
Whenever
they wipe the memory.
Because they wiped the memory of his existence from.
Oh, but world. There's a little difference in that, because
what did I miss? Whose memory?
This is Sentry's Marvel comic book history is that he was part of everything from way back, like in the 40s and 30s and all that, all the way up. And he was a major hero. But there was something where they wiped all traces of memory of him from everybody, including himself, from the world. Right. Where this is a little different from Spider-Man, because all they did was they're wiping everybody that knows Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
Right.
So people still know Spider-Man. They just don't know Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
But I think probably some of the themes would be the same, and because they are doing another Spider-Man movie, and so I think they'll be dealing with the fallout of that. So they probably
it'll be interesting. And also, really, and I know I've said this before about Superman. That's a hard character to have in a comic. I mean, it goes the same thing with Miss Marvel. When you have a character that's so overpowered, it's hard to have a good movie with someone that just has no one that could beat him, right? And that's one of the things that's the problem with Superman is, like, how do you make this a good thing when there's nothing that can hurt them, nothing that can go wrong, and you basically got to kill the people around them, right?
But there's kryptonite, but they don't know that.
True. One of the funny things about
Well,
Bob.
back to the one thing though that you guys are talking about, Century. When I got home, I had to look up. There was a comic I read early in the 2000s called Supreme Power. I don't know if you guys ever read that. It was a Marvel comic, and there were kind of alternate versions of the regular Marvel people, and there was a superhero called Hyperion.
Oh yeah.
And he was they referred to. I just read this. I just looked them up again. Hyperion's a superhero for Marvel Comics. He's a powerful being, often described as Superman pastiche. He's known for his strength, speed, flight, and invulnerability, similar to Superman. And it talks about his origin and all that. He's from Native Earth 712, blah blah blah. Anyway, but I thought for sure when they did that, I was like, wait, is that like, am I mixing up the names? Like I thought it was the same guy. But it's like, so there's like two Superman.
Yeah. Well, Sentry is even more powerful because he also has like telekinesis, and he's got some other like he's just over. He's like the most overpowered dude. Now, here's what I wanted to bring up about this. This is Bob Sentry, played by Lewis Pullman. We actually covered him on 2 of our podcasts before that we've done this, because he was also Bob in Top Gun Maverick.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Which makes you go back, and now you got to watch Top Gun Maverick a little different. Like, oh, that's actually Sentry too. He really has those powers. He just doesn't realize it. Not true, but I thought that was kind of funny. He also played Ben Mears in Salem's Lot, which is another movie we covered during one of our scary movie months with our friend Alicia. I think this movie bombed, if I'm not, if I remember correctly.
I was going to say,
it went straight to one of the.
I forgot it even existed.
It went to one of the streaming platforms, didn't it, or did it actually hit the theaters?
We saw this on a streaming. I think it did. It just wasn't very good.
No,
I mean, it wasn't a horrible movie, but it's got a great, like, there's some great trailer footage, but other than that, you get into the regular and you're like, oh, geez, man.
113 minutes, and it makes a good trailer. Yeah, that's not a very good sell.
But I just thought it was funny.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I just thought it was hilarious that in Top Gun Maverick, he was also Bob was his flight name, not just the name, but that's his code name, right? And I
heard that Lewis Pullman said, "I just played a Bob. Can I play it? Can we just give him another name?" And
they
Marvel
said no.
People are like, "No, that's his name's Bob in the comic. You're stuck with it."
Yeah. Well, his actual name in the comic is Robert Reynolds. But
so he's gonna get typecast. He's stuck. He's
going to be Bob in everything.
Yeah.
Right.
Which would be hilarious.
The recreation of Twin Peaks. He's going to be Bob.
He definitely takes a page out of Ben Affleck and Matt Damon's book of one good movie, 2 for the money. One good movie, 2 for the money. It's like he has like a bunch of artsy things on here, and then he also has like,
some blockbusters,
Maverick, Thunderbolts, stuff like that.
I think Sebastian Stan's doing the same thing. It's like he keeps coming back to play Bucky, so we can go and do like, Norwegian
show
art
his penis
films.
in the
do that one where he's a con man. What's that one? That's another good one he's in.
Oh yeah. Well, that's why he's had the short hair on the junkets. I don't know if you guys have seen any of them, but his hair's cut really, really short. And in the
Captain America: Brave New World, he had a bad wig.
Yeah, well, in the post-credit scene in this, he had a wig.
Oh.
So, but he's doing a movie in Norway called Fjord, and I presume he's playing
word.
It is a fun word. I presume he's playing a policeman because every time he plays a policeman, he cuts his hair real short. So.
Yeah. He was in A Different Man is one of the ones we did not too long ago.
Oh yeah, I saw that and listened to it, but
that was
he's
interesting movie.
And Noah can't get away from his penis. That was a big part of Noah's experience.
It's my screensaver on my phone. I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, it's funny because it's like, he keeps he keeps doing these movies. Like I'll keep because I'm a fan. I'll check his IMDb, and it's like, oh, he's doing this movie called blah blah blah, and I'll be like, oh, I can't wait to see that. And then it comes out, and it's like it goes nowhere, and it's like,
Yeah.
did they even release this movie? And it shows up on, and then it shows up on like Amazon Prime 6 months later, and it's with no fanfare whatsoever. And I'm like, all right, it's. I mean, he's good. He's good in everything, but I think he's wants to do some more artistic stuff,
Which is, I appreciate that with actors. It's like they're not.
I do too.
They're in it for the art. Which you would hope would. I think Florence Pugh is kind of like that too, where she's kind of done. Yeah. She's done some. I mean, Oppenheimer was huge for her.
Well, we did Midsommar. We covered that one. That's such a.
You're right.
It's an amazing role.
Yeah.
I don't want to stray too far from Bob, just because I think his character brings some.
Yeah.
The themes of this movie are much more about mental health, and even my cocktail was kind of leaning into the whole solution in the end. It wasn't superpowers. It wasn't they can punch and shoot all they like, but they're not going to get beyond Void's ability to just kind of end someone and turn them into a shadow. So all of these characters, it explored their mental health, and Bob was created, or the Void was created, because of what happened to him, his depression, all these things that kind of led to this. And I thought it was an interesting angle for a superhero movie, so I got to give it props for kind of bringing something a little different. It was no longer about necessarily strength and superpower overcoming evil. Instead, it was tapping into some, as a team, they had to come together and really support someone in order to defeat the negativity inside them. And that was all about mental health, which was cool. Interesting.
Yeah.
It is. And it's a little bit outside of what they normally do with the superhero, where it's the powers overcome or the strength overcomes. This is one where it's like, doesn't matter how strong you are. It doesn't matter. It is the team. It is we have to be a team, and I think you're right, Steve. This is what makes this movie better and over the top and different.
And it's tricky because, especially this day and age, when you talk about mental health, some people accuse you of going woke or something like that, where you're trying to lean into mental issues or things like that. But I did not get that impression here. It felt very, these characters you leaned into and thought, man, I really like these people. I like, even though they've got their history, their negative past and stuff like that, I want to see them figure out a way through this. So it felt good.
I think they're going to have to do that going forward. I mean, we talked about this, if we compare this to Brave New World, a lot of the criticism that I had of that movie, this one righted. Like I said, oh, that one didn't have a sense of humor. This one did.
Yeah.
That one, it was just like all the fighting. It's like I've seen fighting.
Fight.
Fight. Yeah, it's like, it's like, yeah, okay, the Falcon suit is cool, but it's kind of the same thing that Iron Man does. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's enjoyable to watch and everything, but it's like, I'm going to keep watching these movies because I care about these characters. And if they can go and like have like Bucky, and like part of me is like, I'm so proud of him. Like, you look where he was in Falcon and Winter Soldier, and how he was, sleeping on the floor and racked with guilt. And
he went to therapy. He went to therapy, and that was
he did go to therapy. He did go to therapy,
and that leans into it supports therapy as an option, because here he seemed to be the most kind of, he had the best head on his shoulders considering where everyone was at.
Well, like I think about the final scene in Falcon and Winter Soldier where Sam and his sister are having the cookout, and Bucky shows up, and he's got his little Black Forest cake from the supermarket, and the little, and and the kids are there hanging off his arm, and he's just talking to everybody, and then like, I'm like, he's in a good place, and that's like, he's in such a good place. He was able to run for Congress, and
Well, that's what put him back in a bad place. Nobody deserves that kind of fucking shit going on. Like that's gonna hurt anybody's mental state. Is dealing with politicians and being part of all of that.
yeah.
So,
Well, but I thought it was funny though at the fundraiser where he like pulls the other congressman aside and he's like, I wanted to bring you over here because there aren't any cameras, and the congressman's nobody cares. We're just nobody thinks we're doing anything nefarious here, and so. But the thing is, it's like even when when I said with my drink, even when he went after the rest of them to kind of like it's like you guys are in over your head. I'm gonna have to help you out. He was he wasn't having. He wasn't like suffering Bucky,
right.
Even after he went into the void, and it's like,
he's like, we know my life is horrible, but I'm good.
He's like, I had a great life, so I'm fine, and it's like, and it's, we didn't need to see it because we know what he's seen, but we also know that he's had more flashbacks in his life than he's had actual waking hours, so he probably knew exactly how to handle it. But
they also gave us why he went through a detox 100% where he was in Wakanda, right? That's when he became White Wolf and all that, where he basically, that's before he has the arm, and he's just, they kind of even show a picture of him. He's kind of shriveled a little bit. He's just living in a yurt kind of thing, and Bucky's a great. But I love the fact that, they're like, oh, he's come to save us. He's like, no, he came to pull your asses in to use you as a trial bait for getting her ousted, which I thought was hilarious. But they do a great job, and they're like, they're telling the story, and he's like, it's about Bob. And it's like, what? He's like, Bob. And then he's like going on, and there's just so much fun. But then this, you're right. This has the emotional stuff too, and the two that got to me, and this one, I've teared up in some MCU movies. Like if you haven't, you either are just super cold hearted or you haven't watched them all. But this one got me a little bit. There's the scene when Yelena's kind of walking away after the big fight, and talking. Then Alexei comes up and they're talking, and she's like, I needed you and you weren't there and stuff. And I don't remember all the words. I wish I did. I need to see it another time for that. But it's such an emotional scene where she's just so vulnerable, and she's like, which you don't get from, a Black Widow typically. Natasha Romanoff wasn't, that she wasn't vulnerable like Yelena's coming off in this, and it's a little bit different, and it's really
is this what he said?
Powerful.
I didn't think you wanted me, or something like that, and she almost is like, yeah, that's fair. I liked the exchange.
It wasn't all one way.
That, and the fact that we're all saying we want to see it again. That's a big plus for this movie. I'd like to see it again because I don't remember all these little details, and I really care about these characters, and I want to fill in some of these blanks, or kind of bring some of these questions I have a little bit more to some understanding, because I want to fill in those blanks. Well, that's a sign of a good movie. So
it's a powerful scene too, because David Harbour as Red Guardian and as Alexei, most of what he does.
He's the guy from Stranger Things, right?
Yes, he's done a ton of stuff.
Yeah, Hellboy. He did one Hellboy movie, but not the
one Hellboy. I can't remember if we did this on the podcast or I just watched it and enjoyed it, but he was in it's called Violent Night, where he plays Santa Claus.
Yeah, we did that on the podcast. Yeah.
That I was like, holy crap. But yeah, he's the Stranger Things guy. He was in What If. He's in an animated thing, Creature Commandos, where he plays Frankenstein's voice. He's just kind of out there doing his thing, but he's just killing it. He's so much fun, but he's the comedy relief in this, but they give him this emotional moment. And this is the heartstring tug on dads. It's like, you were so good and everything, and I didn't think you wanted me. And it's like, oh man. And then I love the fact that, they bring up the soccer team again, and he's like, well, I always loved you and you wanted to be the goalie. And she's like, yeah, because you don't run as much there. And he's like, no, it's because you wanted everybody to be able to rely on you. And I was like, oh my God, like pulling those dad quotes, it's like, God damn, you're killing it.
Well, then he got the sponsor wrong too, though, which was kind of funny. She's like, it was the tire thing, and he was like, it was the insurance company or whatever it was.
Well, who are you going to believe, a 5-year-old or the coach?
I'll tell you what, I can tell you the team I played for, my first soccer team I played for.
You can tell they
Liberty Mutual was the sponsor.
Well, they had the name. I'm kind of going with him though, because he's like, no, he couldn't afford that. He would have known shit like that. He's not. He's a dummy, but he's not that dumb. You know what I mean? But they might have both been sponsors. We don't know. It was probably all money laundering at that point, anyways. We don't know.
Right.
Probably had mob ties.
In Russia, no doubt.
I was just thinking Pee Wee Soccer. They're all about mobsters.
Oh yeah, right.
But no, there's some great stuff with him in this, but like there's the early scene when she first comes back, definite comic relief with him, and jumping up trying to clean the house really quick, brushing his teeth with dish soap, just
that was fucking. I was like, what the fuck is he doing? Like when he did that, I was like, that's the one.
And
time,
he rinsed.
like,
if I'm not mistaken, he rinsed it with vodka.
Probably, yeah.
I was just like, that is
when he did that. When he put the dish soap in his thing to brush his teeth, I was like, what the fuck?
Hey, that's when you're rock bottom and you just do what you do.
I've been rock bottom. I've never been that rock bottom.
Then you weren't rock bottom.
I guess not.
If you could afford toothpaste, you were not rock bottom. But he's just, it was nice that he got some emotional points. Because he is the comic relief, he is the big dumb guy in the room that everybody gets to laugh at. He's the clown,
the lovable clown.
John,
we all loved him in Black Widow,
clown, but he's still the clown.
Yeah,
John Walker is the butt of all the jokes, and he got a chance to kind of come up and stuff like that. Bob is kind of like the little brother that also turns into like the UFC fighter that you got to pull out of every bar because he's trying to beat everybody up. They all have these emotions and stuff. Yes, Ghost got kind of sidelined, which was sad because she was more enjoyable in this than she was in the Ant-Man movie.
I kind of liked her in that.
I just thought she was kind of boring in that before. I want more from her. She's
the Hawkeye of the original Avengers.
Yeah, but they still haven't given her much to chew on. So maybe Doomsday.
You're not wrong.
Is she back in Doomsday? Maybe we'll get some more.
I think they all are.
Yeah. Oh, sure. If they're if they're the new Avengers, then certainly. Which goes into
how fucking great was that Wheaties box? Sorry, Steve. Sorry.
I was just going to say Doomsday starts shooting next month. That's all I was going to say.
Gotcha.
But yeah, the Wheaties box.
How fucking great was that Wheaties box? Like, I want one. I want a new Avengers Wheaties box.
Better than that, though, was the Avengers with the Z. and the
not only that, but you could see it cut out on his shirt too, like he had sewed it in.
And Kelly was like, is that a Chipotle thing on his, because he has all the sponsors, a race car driver on the arms.
Exactly.
He's like, is that Chipotle or is that something or whatever?
And he has one for, he has a costume for all of them too. Here you go. And they're all no.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a great group because he's like, Sam Wilson put a trademark on the Avengers name, which I was kind of like, can he even do that? I'm like, I think Bucky would have as much. I don't
think you can technically. I mean, you can't trademark a real word, and Avengers is a real word.
Okay. Well, but it was kind of a
Here's
business.
the thing, you can try to.
Yeah.
You could try to.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
There was some team that tried to copyright three-peat.
Yeah.
And
they did.
There's teams out there that got it. I know
the Lakers, Pat Riley did copyright three-peat, but there are some things that you can't copyright. There was the
12th man.
There was a comic shop in Maryland that I used to go to. I think it was called Epic Games or something like that. and they were trying to copyright the name Epic Games, and like you can't because the word epic and the word games, even though they're combined, are two like
Separate.
they're real words. Like you can't copyright them, kind of a thing. So
Well, I know at college, the Seahawks, like anytime they use the 12th man for their fans, they end up paying some college that had apparently put a copyright on that.
I think it's Tennessee. They're
It
the
might be.
volunteers.
No,
But I was kind of to me.
it's Texas A&M. I had a friend who was in the marching band there.
Oh, Texas.
Yeah,
A&M
I
is
just
12th
to me
man.
I was like that's
volunteers
kind
is
of like
Tennessee, right.
every team goes they're the 12th fan, whatever. But anywho, I just thought this what they did was good with this. The Avengers thing was hilarious. As much as I didn't like it, it was funny. Like I was kind of like these guys. I'd rather them stay the Thunderbolts than be new Avengers personally.
As
Like,
much
this
as
doesn't-
you didn't like it.
I didn't like them being called the new Avengers.
Okay,
that
okay.
to me actually was like, oh no, that's not good. No, don't do that. I was like, no, be your own. Don't taint your name by that. Like,
No,
Taint.
that's very self-serving because they want to be the Avengers.
do they? I don't
think-
think Florence does. I don't think
Florence might not
Pugh
wanna
and
be-
Yelena
I
wants to
don't.
be.
I don't think they care. They just don't
Actually, the
want.
only
They don't want to
person
be
on this team
labeled.
that I think really wants to be the Avengers is Alexi as Red Guardian. He is all
true.
about being the Avengers. I think the rest of them are like, nah, I'm good.
Well, maybe.
You know, they're like, oh, yeah, I'll take a payday.
Just the fact Bucky wasn't he already an Avenger? Was he, or maybe he wasn't?
Yeah, I think so. I
yeah,
think he
so-
counts.
Technically, weren't they all
I think-
Avengers at the final battle? Weren't they all Avengers?
When he says Avengers Assemble and everybody and their
Everybody.
grandma comes out the portals,
Right.
like they were bringing.
He wasn't
So
like-
maybe
he
he
wasn't
could
like-
he could knight them
he
all.
wasn't
I
like
knight you an
Spider-Man with,
Avenger
like,
just
he
because he's
wasn't-
a.
he wasn't knighted an Avenger like Spider-Man was.
Yeah,
you
that's
know, when
true.
he said- yeah.
And who said Tony's the only one who could make Avengers? I mean, it's who knows. But anyways, I thought this was
Well,
super.
I mean,
good.
I guess actually the only one who could probably make Avengers is Nick
Fury.
right?
Nick Fury.
Nick Fury. I was going to say Nick Cage. I know that's not it. Nick Fury.
Well, Nick Cage can too. They're just they're Avengers with the Z.
Nick Cage can do anything, quite frankly.
Yeah.
But Nick Fury. So is Nick Fury still alive or is he dead? Or what's the deal with Nick Fury right now? Like, why do we
The
not?
show
see-
died pretty horribly, but
Yeah.
I think he's still alive.
Yeah.
So why did we not get him in this? Like, that would have been a great after the credits scene. Like you guys aren't cutting it. Like, don't think you're the Avengers. kind of
Well,
thing.
Maybe they're keeping him a little bit, with the failure
Arm's
of
length.
Secret Invasion. Maybe they're kind of holding off on reintroducing his character. I'm sure he'll be in Doomsday.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens because I mean, you'll have the face off between Valentina and him, right? Kind of playing that same role. You might have Sam coming back, fighting with Buck. Maybe we'll have Avenger on Avenger, violence.
Well, like Civil War. I mean, it's Civil War. It was
They in the comics there
Hero
was a
against
Civil
hero.
War too.
Sam Jackson is
it was
not
like a
listed.
Civil War number 2 or a Civil War also.
Yes.
Sam Jackson is not listed in the cast list of Avengers Doomsday. Surprisingly.
well.
There was that trailer that showed all the chairs that went on way too long. It was just a bunch of of chairs with names on them. Was he in that? I'd have to check that.
I don't know. Yeah, it's good.
He's not listed in the in IMDb or for Avengers Doomsday. So
I think if then he probably wasn't because I think everyone who had a chair in that thing got listed.
yeah, huh?
Interesting. Well, it'd be interesting. Well, I mean, we'll see what happens with it. This to me is not pushing off like, oh my God, that's going to lead us to the next thing. This was a good start to getting back to enjoying superhero movies. A lot of fun.
Absolutely.
The in trailer gave us a little bit into the Fantastic Four, which I think will then be another stepping stone into, even though they're not mutants, they're enhanced. We'll see. I think we're going to start seeing more and more stuff. Hopefully, we get the mutants in this soon, and who knows where it's going to go. But realistically, I am not overly excited about Doomsday personally.
I'm not yet.
I'm more excited after seeing this movie. Just
Yeah.
just because it seems like they've kind of picked a lane and they're going a
Riding the
direction.
ship.
I'm just saying that this gives me hope because I liked this, and if this is where Doomsday is leading, then at least they're on the right track. And so it's better than it was before I saw this movie.
I'll agree with that.
I mean, I had the lowest of hopes for this movie actually coming into it. Like I had very low based on it. The garbage we've been getting over the last couple of years, like I had the lowest of expectations this movie, and I was very happy, very happy with how this panned out. I'm hoping that the vast majority of the multiverse, even if Noah's right, the vast majority of the multiverse is behind us, because it was just like, you know, trope after trope after trope, and it wasn't really anything new. You know, and then, you know, so here we go. Hopefully there's some new storylines, some new good stuff. So anyway.
Well, I think what the plan is to maybe jump into this world and bring others into it from others, and so we can stay in the same fun world that we had from.
We're still in the 616 is what you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah, so we're in that world, so the people that are doing the stuff and coming into that instead of going off into these other places that just don't seem to hit right. So maybe that's the course that they're going. Who knows? If they can stick with the trajectory they have started from Thunderbolts, because it was still on that off kilter at Captain America Brave New World. It was not a Brave New World that none of us fans wanted to see, which sucks because Sam Wilson is a great character. Red Hulk was a great character. They just got put in a shit story. It just didn't work. Now, granted, it had rewrite after rewrite after rewrite, so that maybe got into it. I don't know. Maybe they've got the right people together now. Thunderbolts will go forward. Fantastic Four will tell us a lot more. You know, it's funny when this all started to drop. I think it was even before the Thunderbolts movie hit the theaters. I started to see a lot of the scene from Hawkeye where Yelena goes and finds Kate Bishop, where she first kind of like it's almost like a face-to-face introduction where she breaks into her apartment when she's in there, and she, you know, it brings up the whole macaroni and cheese in that discussion. And I must have watched that 15 times in one day because it kept coming up, and I was like, it's such a good scene that I would love to see them take the people that we have out of this movie, get some of those good, fresh, young crew that we were seeing, that we were talking about, maybe young Avengers, getting those guys kind of somehow introduced, and then, you know, maybe seeing where that goes. Because I think there was a lot of good up and coming.
They have talked about doing Young Avengers, and I've read.
I don't know.
I've read one or two articles speculating who might be in it, but as a mini series, I mean, not as a movie. And I'd really like to see them do that. And I also saw an interview with Jeremy Renner where he said they were going to do a Hawkeye season 2, and he's like, oh, they cut my salary in half or something like that, and he's like, you know, I was just injured, I'm fine now, you know, and I'm like, I can't, I don't think they probably cut his salary because it's going to be about Kate Bishop and he'll just be in like 1 or 2 episodes, you know.
I saw a lot of the same stuff, and apparently he had as many scenes as he had before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so he's like, look, I'm not trying to tell you to break the bank. I'm not trying to get all this money. He's like, but pay me what you paid me before. Don't insult me like that.
Yeah. Okay. In that case.
Yeah. And he knew where they were going. I mean, the first one was more about Kate Bishop than him. He was a side character essentially in that, and that's where he was going to be before again. But I'm with him on that one. It was kind of like, look, you know, don't insult me by that. He's like, you know, I might be Hawkeye, but I'm not the Hawkeye. Like, don't treat me like some stepchild like everybody else thinks he is. My biggest concern is that I don't know if the Young Avengers can pull it off on their own. I think you almost have to you got to have some of those parent figures in there. Like, if you have a Bucky as a babysitter of the Young Avengers or Yelena, like you just them together on their own. I don't know if pulls it off. It's almost like they need someone to kind of help with them, and maybe that's where they're going.
And you mentioned that Brave New World, those characters got stuck in a crappy story. Did you notice who wrote this one? Noah?
No.
Eric Pearson co-wrote it, and you know what else he wrote? Ragnarok.
Well, okay, that makes a lot of damn sense.
So if they can get some good writers for the Young Avengers, then maybe we'll get some good solid material because they got a good cast.
And it occurs to me when you said they need some parental figures. Some of them have parents,
well, I mean, like superhero parents.
Guardians. Like young Hulk has the Hulk, and
I don't know if I'd want him being my parent. He's not stable.
Wait, who? Cassie.
Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah. Oh God, he was one of the worst ones that they showed too. The young Hulk they did in the end of the She-Hulk. The look is like they weren't even real comic. It was everybody was just like, what the hell? What are you trying to do? It's like a World War Hulk kind of figure that they brought out, and the Hulkling I think is one of his names. You're right. Yeah, I mean there are some, but I mean more of like
and
superhero.
Cassie has Ant-Man as her father, and Wiccan has Ghost Agatha as kind of his mentor. So I think they could do it.
I'm not sure if she's a good mentor.
I don't know if she's a good mentor, but
right. Well,
there's nothing wrong with imperfect parenting. That's how we get. Superheroes don't all come from perfect.
Quit bringing up my parenting, Steve. Quit bringing it up. Okay. You did talk about Eric Pearson is writing this, and yes, one of the ones he did was Thor Ragnarok. Excellent movie, probably top of it. He was also on Agent Carter, which is a great series.
Great series.
Great series.
And Fantastic Four too, right? I mean, so the new one, not the previous monstrosities.
Which are the previous two? There were two, right?
He's writing. No,
that's a new one. That's a new one.
He's writing the one that's coming out.
Yeah. Well, it's a team of about 6 writers, so that's a little suspect. Okay. But sometimes when too many writers get thrown into the pot, you never know what you're going to get. But we'll see.
He's also on the Blade movie, so that could be interesting. He was on Transformers 1. He did the screenplay for Black Widow, which I actually enjoyed. Not everybody did.
I like it.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's got some good chops. So yeah, it'd be nice to see him do some more stuff. So maybe that's why
1 wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad kids movie.
I didn't see it, but I know a lot of people were. The Transformers
very first one, Megan Fox.
No.
No. The cartoon that came out last year.
Yeah.
Lee.
I don't have time for
it. Has a lot of big.
I don't have time for the stuff we watch on this show. I can't be watching metal stuff.
No. I mean, I have a child in my house. That's how I saw it.
That'll happen to you.
I have a hunch you probably would have seen it anyway.
I don't know, but maybe. Andrew's a Transformers fan as well, so okay.
I was not. I need to see I need more G.I. Joe stuff that we are getting, or He-Man than Transformers, because that's where I was as a child. What we really need is a live action Thundercats movie. I don't care what anybody says. That's the next one that needs to hit the screen.
Do you want to play into the humor or make it totally take itself seriously?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Okay.
No, so I get where you're going, because I'm kind of torn. I need a Thunderbolt style where it's got some comedy in it, but it does take itself serious and deals with some serious subjects. I think that would be the best way to go about it.
Thundercats never had any serious subjects.
What do you? Yeah, they did.
Serious subjects? It was a 3:00 cartoon.
They can have serious subjects.
Maybe.
Anyhow,
I'll tell you what. Don't. Careful what you wish for, Noah. Because
I mean, He-Man's coming out, and I'm like, oof.
One of my favorite cartoons growing up, which I ran home from school to see, was Battlestar, not Battlestar Galactica.
Star Blazers.
So, Star Blazers, yes.
Yeah.
With the Battleship Yamato. I ran home from school to see that.
I could have wrote those episodes. Come on. Fight, fight, fight,
But
fight, fight,
they
fight.
did a live
Use your big
action-
weapon in the show.
They did
Come
a
on.
live action version of it, and it
Oh,
sucked.
really?
It
Yeah,
sucked
well,
bad.
I can see that.
Right. It
They had
sucked, so
one
careful
theme.
what you wish for.
Hey! Can I say something though? Do you have Crunchyroll?
What? No.
Do you have Crunchyroll?
What's Crunchy? I don't even know what that is.
It's a
it's like
streaming
a TV
for
service,
anime.
yeah.
It's a streaming service for anime. They did a remake series of
Oh, cartoon or
Space
live
Battleship
action?
cartoon of Space Battleship Yamato. That one was really, really good, but also they had all the same sound effects and music.
Oh,
cues.
really?
And it was, I'm telling you, it's like every time they would play like a music, like the real dramatic music, and it was just like such a nostalgia rush. I just like,
Yeah,
I
that's
was like,
hilarious.
oh
I'll
my
have to check it
God,
out.
this is awesome. Yeah, you should. It's really good.
Yeah, but careful what you wish for, Noah.
No, I
They
understand.
might make it, and it could suck.
I get it. Thor started off that way, but it took 3 movies, and then they got it right and hit the fucking,
And then it went down.
And they should have dropped the mic. Yeah.
And then they did Love and Thunder.
True. Yeah.
Hey, there you go. They could bring back love for Young Avengers.
That's one of the things I've heard. That is a
And
plan.
Thor could be one of the parental.
So when is Young
Oh my
Avengers?
God! Could you
When
imagine?
is-
That's like what's the babysitter movie where they're running all over the town?
Adventures of Babysitting.
Adventures of Babies.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what it is. Young Adventures with
by the
Thor.
way, you know who plays Thor in that? You know who has the Thor helmet?
No.
Kingpin.
do.
Kingpin.
Vincent
Oh,
D'Onofrio.
Kingpin. Vincent D'Onofrio is the guy that works at the tow truck place or whatever.
Oh,
The
that
long
has
blonde
the Thor
hair.
helmet.
It's
Yeah,
Thor.
the long blonde hair. That's Vincent D'Onofrio.
It all comes full circle. That's what it is. That's the next movie is Adventures in Babysitting with the Young Avengers led by Thor.
Yes.
Nothing could go wrong there.
Is there a Young Avengers slated? Is there a time?
Yeah,
or is
That's what I've. And they haven't given a time for it.
They got a dartboard in Marvel with all
Right.
these great ideas on it. And every once in a
Not
while,
a
though,
She-Hulk
Bob
too,
Iger comes in and throws. I
Unfortunately,
said
not a
great
She-Hulk
ideas.
too.
I said great
I like
ideas.
She-Hulk, man. I'm the only one, but man,
No, I like
you
her
guys
too.
fucking like
I
Moon
liked her
Knight.
too.
Give me a break.
I didn't like Moon Knight. Come on,
I
that was
thought you
trash
accepted
too.
Moon Knight or something. Or
No, it needed more Moon Knight in the Moon Knight show.
here's the thing. I liked the one with what do you call it? I like the one with
Yeah, we all know that one.
no with
So does Bo.
Camille not Johnny. Camille not Johnny. I'm so bad with names.
Eternals.
Eternals. I liked Eternals.
Okay.
I've watched
Okay.
Eternals twice.
I mean, it wasn't.
I've seen Eternals twice.
We all,
Like-
Bo, we all like what we like because I'll go on the record. I think Hawkeye is probably the best of the miniseries that Marvel has, and I know a lot of people hate Hawkeye and shit on him, but I still think that is a great
Sure,
miniseries.
We like
it's gonna
what we
be
like.
I mean, I watch that at least once a year, sometimes twice, all the way through. I can't say that with any of the other miniseries. It's one of my favorites. So we all do.
Yeah.
We definitely hit what we like. Thunderbolts is one of those ones I want to see back in the theater. I will definitely stream this as soon as it hits Disney Plus. I will
Oh, for
be
sure.
on top of that,
100%.
watching that again.
Yeah.
This is going to be one of those ones where it could be kind of like Ragnarok, where it's very rewatchable.
Yeah.
And it needs to
I think
marinate
so.
a little bit. Might need to marinate with like not being like the thing about this is it's not like all the ones that have been released straight to like the series of things. Like
True.
you have to wait. You have to like think it over in your head and you have to like go over it in your head. You're not going to the movie theater like every couple of weeks or every week or every weekend to see this. You're
Unless you have a daughter
fine.
that works there.
Right.
I
It's
might be able to.
$22. It was $22 a person for us.
Oh
Just
my
for the
God.
tickets.
What?
Like
$22 a person?
yes,
$22.
It
Oh my
was
gosh.
$22 a person for us.
Did they give you popcorn with that or a hand job?
No. Unfortunately, I might have got one. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, here's the thing. We went.
Kelly can't hear what you're saying, but she would probably come here and smack me in the head. But no, it's ridiculously expensive to go to a movie. So nobody's like, you're not going to, unless you have the subscription or whatever, and you're going to see it that way. So for me, it's like, it's kind of like I'm going over it in my head and like thinking over all this stuff. And it's like, I need to see this again. I need to see that again. And I can't wait to see it again when it comes out on Disney.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I got you. Go ahead, Nina.
I mean, we went to see it at our favorite theater, and they were showing it like, on 6 screens or something like that. And we had the theater to ourselves, completely to ourselves, which was nice for us. We didn't have to worry about being quiet or, I could laugh obnoxiously at the stuff that was funny and all that stuff. But I was surprised. We went opening weekend, and it was just the two of us, and I'm like, this.
There were 3 couples in our theater, me and Kelly and 2 other couples, and that was good because I could answer her questions and stuff. And she's like, wanted to ask me a question or something, I could answer her question and stuff.
We went on a Monday night, and it was not packed, but it was, there was a decent amount. I actually had a guy sit right next to me with his girlfriend, which was kind of cool though, because he offered me some candy. You don't get that all the time. I thought that was kind of cool, but that was that first weekend, and so that's just kind of how movies are. I know here locally we have a couple theaters that have some cheap nights, and those are the ways to go to. Like I was looking at this for Wednesday, I could have got in and seen it for $6.50, which that's reasonable and stuff like that. But yeah, this was fun. I know we've talked a lot about the little stuff too. The action in this is on par with most high level MCU movies. The fight scenes are very well done. I don't think any of them came off as like, oh, that was bad. They were all, I don't think any were spectacular.
Some of the pacing was a little off. It felt sometimes the time seemed very compressed, like not much happened not much time passed in this, and sometimes that felt a little I don't know. I missed it. They didn't have that much scenery going on. You were always kind of stuck in the same place. That's. I'm just trying to throw that out. I liked this movie, but there were some moments that I noticed that, and it kind of took me out of the movie.
Yeah. One of the things I did want to talk about too is one of the opening scenes in here. One of the cool parts about that is there's that scene where Florence Pugh steps off the side of the building as Yelena, right, to start her mission. So she did that. That's legit, like full on. There's no green screen. She wanted to do that. She had to fight the studio to be able to do that. And so she didn't do the parachute part, but she did jump off the side of the building and I don't know what.
Wait, without a parachute? What do you mean she didn't do the parachute part? That doesn't.
She was on a harness.
Okay.
But she literally jumped
off the building. She just didn't have a parachute. That's
she's super. Yeah. I mean, that's just how it is. Also, there's that scene where the building blows up behind her. That's an actual. They did that. They blew up that floor in that building.
Damn.
And that's a regular, full effect. And I thought that's so cool. Best part about that too, when she turns around from the building blowing up, she has the little guinea pig in her sweatshirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent freaking dot on that I, cross on that T to make that scene perfect. Cause you're like, she just murked a bunch of people, but she pulls out that guinea pig because he was just there doing what he does. And I thought that was, there's so much in this.
That's where it's tricky with these characters.
I thought the guinea pig would show up in a post-credit scene, honestly.
It does.
Sure he would have been
does.
It does?
It's very quick. So the very end scene, like I think it's the end credits, they're doing all the little photo op things of them as the new Avengers, and there's one of them like in a rowboat, like they're crossing the Delaware. The guinea pig is at the bow of the boat.
Oh, no kidding. Oh, okay. I'll have to look for that when I see it again. But no, I meant like, like they had him.
Yeah, no, show up big time.
They had him at the tower or whatever, and they'd have like a big aquarium in the corner with him running in a wheel or something.
It'd be really funny is if that end scene where they have Bob and he's like, I can't be Century, if he's just sitting there with the guinea pig like in his lap, kind of petting him, that would have been a good place to put him in there too.
Like what is it from the Mike Myers movie from The Spy Who Shagged? What is it like?
Austin Powers,
the cat, the naked cat from the bald cat. I guess they're not naked, but yeah, that'd be
bald
good.
Naked. I mean, when you're a cat, they're
yeah,
one and the same.
true. I guess from what is it? What's the Disney spy cartoon girl? Kim Possible. She has the naked mole rat.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things as my kids were growing up. Thunderbolts.
With Claire, I have to tell you real quick. You'll get if you're familiar with that show, you'll get a kick out of this. Claire and I were in a Lyft the other night, and the driver's phone, whenever she got a text message, it was the doot 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 from Kim Possible.
Yep. My daughter still has that as her. I think it's her text message thing. She went as Kim Possible. I kind of think that her boyfriend went as Ron Stoppable at the time too.
Oh,
but I know
great.
she did it. She nailed the Kim Possible as a costume. So
Nice.
Yeah.
good stuff. One of our favorites. But yeah, this
Anyway,
was
I'm
fun.
sorry.
No.
Yeah, I agree.
It's what we do here is we throw out just random bullshit because that's what podcasts are about.
That's right.
I do want to say real quick. I thought it was interesting that two of the stars had famous parents.
Mm-hmm.
As
Russell Wyatt or
Russell Wyatt and Lewis Pullman.
Wyatt Russell.
Wyatt Russell.
Who were
you're
the
right.
parents?
I'm
that
sorry.
you're referring to? I didn't notice. I didn't
Lewis
notice.
Pullman's dad was Bill Pullman.
Oh,
The late great Bill Pullman, and he kind of looks like him. And Wyatt Russell's parents are Goldie Hawn and
Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell.
Yeah, he's got super parents essentially.
I mean, the thing is, he looks like the perfect mix of the two of them.
you hang on. Hang on, I got to correct the record. Bill Pullman isn't dead.
Oh, I thought he was.
No. The other
What am I
guy
thinking
is.
of?
Bill,
What am I thinking
the other Bill.
You're thinking about the Chet from Weird Science.
Yes.
I can't.
Oh,
Jennifer
yeah,
Weird
yeah,
Science is
Bill.
dead. Right. Correct.
But Bill Pullman is alive. Independence Day president. Yeah, Bill Paxton.
is.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
Bill Paxton.
Man,
All right. Good.
I can't.
I googled
can't
it
be
real
the
quick.
only-
I'm all Bill Pullman's dead. What? So
What?
okay.
I can't be the only one who gets them confused, but I apologize.
Okay. All right.
Bill Pullman is alive and well, but his son looks a lot like him. But Wyatt Russell looks like a perfect mix of his parents, and some of his line readings in this, he really sounded like his dad. Like he had a couple lines, and I would lean over to Andrew, and I'm like, you know what Jack Burton says?
Yeah. Oh my god. That's
One
a
day.
movie I can't believe.
I know you want to podcast on that. Yeah. Check out
that
the
is a
year.
top
We'll do
10.
it as. When was it?
I think I looked at that one time, but it was
saw it
like,
in the
I
theater,
gotta wait
so-
like 2 years.
When did it come out?
86. So next year.
Next year.
Coming in on
I
that
literally
one.
one of my top 10 movies of all time.
Weird
And we're talking about Big Trouble in Little
No,
China
no,
for our audience.
Big
if
Trouble
you
in
don't
Little
know.
China.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember. Oh, we're talking about dead actors or great actors that have died recently. George Wendt just passed away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Norm Peterson from Cheers. When I saw that, I was like, oh, it hit me. A lot of people putting out a lot of great posts about him, and what one of them was they did the last scene he did in Cheers, and it's this great emotion where he's like, he's talking to Ted Danson as Sam Malone. He's like, we know why you came back because you always come back to the one you love. Talking about Cheers and stuff like that. But it has a classic line in there, and he goes, because he's like, you know what I love, Sam? And he's like, beer? He's like, yeah, I got time. It's just, it's one of those like, oh my God, it's such a classic
That's
line from him.
one. The other one I saw, talking about that same one, the other one I saw was this guy comes into the bar, and Norm always sat on the far side of the bar from the door. this guy comes in, he goes, yeah, I haven't been back here in about 20 years. You know, I'd left, I got a job in Alaska. I left, I went to Alaska. It's my first time back in 20 years. Place hasn't changed all that much. You know, they used to have green linoleum on the floor. They've obviously changed that. The stairs used to be more enclosed. They've opened it up more. And the paneling behind Norm over there used to be a little bit higher.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, that was a good one too. But the one you saw, no, I saw that one too. That was really good. But
it's just the delivery of that line, and it is so perfect because you know exactly
so many of his lines. So many of his.
He was such a excellent. The other thing I found out in this is so our buddy from Ted Lasso, that's his nephew. The guy that plays Ted Lasso. Wait, I'm
right. Yeah.
Jason Sudeikis?
Yeah, Jason Sudeikis is George Wendt's nephew. I found that out today too.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Just found that out today. Kelly told me.
That's crazy. I mean,
that is crazy. Huh.
Yeah. So, you know, it's sometimes it's okay to have a little hand up in with your family.
Nepotism never hurt anybody in Hollywood.
You know what? It's in a lot of ways it's a family business, you know.
Sure, yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, I think we're getting close to the end, so I got this.
So.
I think I got this for you guys. This has the makings of a team, right? It can raise you to glory and bring the light from the darkness.
And that's how we seize it. There we go.
Love you guys.